Welcome back. Well, yeah, that second picture was more like it gives us your retired self. Well, yeah, that's retired Major General Austin Agundu, who is a former commander, Operation Safe Haven. Thank you for coming on, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Nigeria. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Well, lots of people were talking about, unexpectedly, this unfortunate incident in Okuoma community in Delta State. Mr. Fadana equally lending his voice, along with several other guests who we've also had on this program. But from your perspective, because I mean, what comes to mind for a lot of people, the examples already there with OD and several other areas, they think it may be a similar thing. And in fact, that if this kind of scenario happens again, we might have the same template play out. While some others think there appears to be something deeper than what we see, and what we see out there appears to be the ones on the surface. So if you could just talk to us about this whole scenario as it is playing out, what are the issues that you think we need to be focusing on to ensure that this kind of things are addressed?
Well, first of all, I want to join my voice with well-meaning Nigerians who have condemned this wicked and dastardly act that happened these few days. The loss of lives, even one, is a great loss to the entire nation. Mainly is also that these are people who have been well trained by taxpayers' money to perform certain jobs, professional jobs along the line of duty. Yes, it is condemnable, and everywhere, meaning Nigeria, these are not time to talk about rhetorics, but the real issues that are on the ground. It's unfortunate that it happened, but it's also one of the hazards of the profession itself. But when it comes into internal, that is within us, that it is somebody that is within us that know us very well, that is carrying out this act. We are trained to die for the country. That is the basis of the military job. And that is the only job where you are trained, and the consequences of death will always be there, but not at home. So now what is missing, and entirely missing in the hotel, is that community-based relationship. And I truly believe, I listened to Prince Afebo earlier on this morning, and I was talking about even the people losing confidence in their own. The military is a national military. It's your own military. You own it. And of course, like you do know, the National Assembly has total oversight. If the National Assembly represents all the peoples of Nigeria on seat, they have the right to oversight. That means we all own it. It's not a case of we versus them. We don't respect those who are in uniform. We don't respect even the law enforcement agencies and other agencies of government. It is the thing, what is it? We need a total reorientation of our mindset on what we actually want as people.
Well, I know the president has said this, there has to be investigation on the matter. Delta State government too has lent their voice saying, yes, this kind of thing should happen. Because I mean, not many will understand why this will happen at all. That's why something there appears to be, there should be a little bit more to this, because who in their right minds would just go ahead and attack officials who are there to keep peace? They didn't even come there for war. They came there to ensure that they reconciled groups. So that's why some people think there is a lot more to this, and we should be taking steps to make those efforts to ensure that we unravel what actually transpired. Could there be an unseen hand? Is it just that the community were angry with the officials? There's certainly more to this.
Yes, there is more to it, and what we should be looking at is, again, lending voice to what Prince Afebo said, that conscious effort to have a national cohesion, and that effort that will make us to understand that we are one, that we belong to each other. There is, and this can only be achieved through some level of behavioral change. There are some certain mindsets that persons have, and there are also other people who are promoting these heinous crimes going on. There are people who are behind the curtains, who we need to unravel. Who are those that are behind it? Who are those? There are some people who profiteer from this type of situations whereby the military or any security agent, for that matter, is trying to resolve. There are those who we call conflict merchants. They are in different shades and in different shapes. And the unfortunate aspect of it is that even within the communities, we know them.
Oh.
We know them. The community know them. The community leader, various levels of community leadership, they know them. They know the recalcitrant types of persons living there. They know there are prevalence of arms, illicit weapons. And of course, to worsen the whole situation, now there is proliferation of organized criminal gangs whose act is just to maim and to make is total disorder.
So from your experience, pardon me, do you think we learned any lesson from OD?
Unfortunately, we are quick to forget the past and forge ahead. And even where there are inquiries, judicial inquiries and all whatnot, the content of those inquiries are often not, either they are not made public or they are not even, actions are not taken thereafter. And then everybody goes to sleep and wait for the next crisis to happen. And then you remember the previous one that happened. We can't keep on going on in circles. Effort has to be, we must ginger our military men to do the job that they are called to do. And of course, like you do know, the military is one of the most trained professional entity of this country. We are trained to protect lives and property. Every other sector of it rallies around the military. And it is only the military, and of course, it's only in a secured environment and a peaceful environment that you can think about all other sectors to thrive. Why do you destroy what you already have as an entity? We earn accolades overseas, we earn accolades across the nations of the world, but here at home, you look at the military as if they're, and of course, the military leadership have been doing a lot to mend fences, to build bridges, to do a lot of things that they are doing to make sure that we are able to understand the essence of our being.
Well, Mr. Falana was very concerned about, Zaki Biam or OD repeating itself in Okuoma community, and his will I say is I don't want to say warning, but he's pleading against collective punishment, which is what we've seen. You have also talked about how in communities people that you admit that there could be more to this than we're currently seeing. You've talked about gangsters, people who don't mean well, merchants of conflict, etc. in communities, whom community people usually know, but oftentimes also are powerless to do anything against them because they think that those people have backings from quarters that are also beyond their own reach as well. So in this instance, isn't it more important then that we prevent a situation really of collective punishment despite the pain that we all feel?
There is, for the lack of use of words, most often we are bereft with ideas in this country that we keep using words that we look like indicting the military for whatever they are doing at any point in time. Yes, there is nothing like collective, and in the first instance, the laws of the land, the military do know. Do not forget, we are governed by the military law, we are governed by the civil law. And if we find ourselves in an international environment, we're also governed by three laws of the laws of those lands. We know this. We have all the tenets of acting professionally. That is why it is called a professional career. It is not like any other ministry. We know we are engrinded. We have the various levels of trainings and everything that has already changed our mindset into, this is not Stone Age. There is nothing, and it's not enough for us to speak for the comfort of our... Are
you saying Zaki Biam happened in Stone Age?
No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is that the idea of any of our elites, members of the elite club, and saying that we're talking about collective punishment or whatnot, we've not gotten on the ground. And do not forget, most often when people report things, they always be from their own perspective, from their own myopic perspective, that will suit their own purpose. There's always an underlying factor that rules most of it. Everybody is speaking from his own side of concerns. And that must be...
Sorry, General, I'm trying to get your perspective very clearly. OD happened when it happened, and it was because soldiers were killed in OD. The then president ordered the leveling of OD.
No, I would choose to disagree. Let's not forget, even before the killing of the soldiers, there were killing of some civilians, some activists in OD. There were some killings of policemen who went there to keep the peace in OD before the military were drafted.
But it wasn't until the soldiers were killed that we saw what happened in OD happened.
It's not a good example. It's not a good example, and that's what I'm saying.
So I think that if you, sorry, General, we cannot discountenance. I don't think a lot of people are happy that OD happened. I mean, it ought not to be especially in a democratic setting, but it happened. Zaki Biam happened in a situation whereby, as you highlighted, there had been problems. The military went there to keep the peace. It didn't work. People turned on the military, whether they were merchants of conflict or whatever it was. They turned on the military, and the soldiers were killed. As a result of that, whether it was the president who ordered it or, we don't know where the orders came from, but we know that that community did not remain the same after the military, went there. It was similar. So in this instance, if we're relying on what has happened before, the fears that could also be the fate of Okuoma, and we're already beginning to see the signs, which is what Mr. Falana was. I mean, we've seen some houses being burnt. We don't know who has perpetrated it. People are saying, they're angry soldiers who have done it. These are the allegations that are there. The fears are real and they're palpable. But given what as the fact that there could be much more to it than meets the eye, isn't that why we should actually, hope and pray that regardless of how we all truly feel, because the people already know, even residents within the community know that the outcome of this, the consequence of this cannot be positive.
There are also situations.
Yes.
There are also situations whereby even the criminal gangs in the midst of them running away from their community set their own houses ablaze. You see, what we are talking here is that commissions and inquiries are often set up. Renowned men and women of this nation, they sit together to put their bits and pieces together to see how we can solve whatever problem. But most often, have we ever had the will? I don't want to know what level of will now that we're talking about to execute the outcome of those findings. That is the point that I am making. And you have it also that, like I said, organized criminal gangs have taken over, they've laid siege on some certain communities. And when they are escaping and when they are looking for a way out and all whatnot, we see the level of carnage that they will commit. And so that they will lay the claim on a proper laid down government institution.
So you think this is not the military?
It cannot be. Okay. Because we have rules of engagement. We have standard operating procedure. Everybody knows the content of this document. So everyone knows once you are going into a theater, you know exactly what you are going to do, what you are not going to do.
So yes, are you saying...
when you placate the entire institution because some heinous crime have been committed and you want to give a dog a bad name, I think it should not be encouraged. So
are you saying then that we do not have anything to be afraid of in terms of these fears of collective punishment?
There cannot be. We cannot exercise, like I said. We have our own standard operating procedure. We have rules of engagement. We have so many laws and everybody, what we don't even know, we have it in like pocket-sized books. And there's continuous briefing and seminars. And even now, there are internal inquiries going on what happened in Okuoma community and the entire community. And indeed, it's going to stretch the entire Niger Delta. We have to reassess our level of operations. We have to reassess. We have to re-engineer the entirety. There needs to be a national consciousness to preserve what is collectively ours. It is, this land is ours. We have to protect it. When you allow it, and do you realize that in most communities in this country, even low-level traditional institutions, they don't have authority over the men, over their people. I have seen.
What do we then say happened in the situation of the Shiites in Kaduna?
Well, we are bringing in other dynamics of what happened. Again, like I said, that is also there's a judicial process along that line. So let's allow them to do their work.
Ayo. Thank you, Chamberlain. We know, General, one of the fears that Malkwe is talking about is perhaps occasioned by what so many people believe, that maybe because the military, and I think you also spoke to it earlier, about community ownership of certain things. As you said, the military belongs to Nigeria. The Nigerian army belongs to Nigeria and to Nigerians. You know, back in time, I think it was in the 70s, stories that I heard go along the line of the fact that people had the military in awe. You saw a soldier, you were just full of respect and everything. But then down through the ages, it would seem like people began to have disregard from even seeing a soldier on the street. And perhaps some actions also spoke to that. So it may not be unconnected. I don't know if that is what if you will agree, that some people, whenever, back then when they saw a soldier, I mean, it was with all respect, they listened to whatever the soldier had to say. But now, and from the instances that Malkwe has quoted in Zaki Biam in Odi, it would seem like it's almost like business as usual. Do you think the military itself has some work to do in terms of that community relationship that you spoke about earlier, so that these things don't happen again and people don't have the kind of fears being expressed all over the place?
Yes, you are absolutely right. The military is doing a lot of things in their own capacity. Internal processes are going on. And do not also forget that we have civil military cooperation departments in almost all the service headquarters. But what we are not actually putting into cognizance in this country is the vibrancy of the population. The examples you are giving in the 70s were when people were more respected, when there are family values, when there were instances whereby you speak even as a community leader, and people listening to you and adhere to your admonitions, or as the case may be. But when the society has grown, have we grown at this exponential rate that we are growing in population? Is the psyche of the population of our ability to grow, is it going in commensurate level as what we have today? The answer, your guess is as good as mine. So there is more that we need to do within the society. And that's also whereby we'll also be talking about the administrations, even at local government levels. Now, we know we can say that over and again, but there must be conscious efforts to make the local government to function. And what are the type of characters that are elected or appointed as local government chairmen? Don't they have their own so many other values, or what are the institutions even within local government areas and all whatnot? These are things that bring the cohesion and the unity. These are things that make us to live as one and think as one and act as one. So once these things are missing, there is going to be a lot of discordant tunes along the line.
I'm glad you mentioned the fact that the military, particularly the army, is a professional organization with its rules of engagement, with its codes of conduct and everything like that. But there are those, particularly civil society organizations over the past 20, 30 years, who blame some of the issues you're discussing now about military community relations on the venturing of the military into politics. Do you think it is significant? Perhaps because there are those who will also wonder, maybe there's just suspicion all over the place. The people don't trust any insignia of government anymore. Trust has been breached. And over the years, it would seem like anyone who represented government didn't have the respect of the people anymore. So, because the military has occupied political power, just a second, sir. Because the military has occupied political power and now it is a democracy, how do we begin to build that trust back as the military ventures back into its original state of professionalism?
With due respect, I think we need to let go of the years that the military was in political leadership of this nation. We have gone past that far away. And how many years of democracy do we have? What are the turnarounds in our democratic environment? Are those who are practitioners, are they actually thinking democratically? The military have moved on since. We are professional bodies. We are professional men and women, respected that nationally and internationally. But the perception of individuals, of certain persons, regarding who the military is, or resentment, is what needs to be changed. And you talked about the civil society. For goodness sake, why hasn't the civil society organization, or any one of them indeed, come out to even lay credence to or condemn or lay support to the military that is supposed to be, with the military that provides you all the leverage that you require to live in this nation? So the civil society the vibrancy of civil society also should be seen, and not only on things that are maybe on things that are more profitable to their organization or to the paymaster. So certain things are good for the ears to hear, while others are not. So you cannot choose as a member of civil society to deal with one aspect and leave the other aspect. The civil society is much more politically vibrant. Okay. So let us try as much as possible to give the credits to where it belongs, and where there are instances of isolated incidents or kind of thing, we call it by its name.
Well, there is something you mentioned about community engagement, General, and I know that, as you also said, that the military has those relationships ongoing and all. Given these examples and this current one, two things I'd like you to say. Number one, how should we progress going forward? And secondly, do you think the military needs to review its rules of engagement because of what you said the other time as the vibrancy of the population now as opposed to before?
I can tell you with all assurance that the military is reviewing, even every of our operations, we have what we call after-action review for every outing that we do make. We have lessons learned departments in our headquarters. There's a lot of things that is going on to review even our operations and all whatnot to make sure that we move according to the dictates of the time. And of course, we're already looking into how we're going to meet up with our requirements in the next few years. Do not forget, again, and that's one aspect that most often we are neglecting. The rate at which the population is growing and meeting up in necessary infrastructural positions to meet up with the growing population. By 2030, which is just how many years away, Nigeria is going to be, I think, the seventh, is there, the statistics are there, seventh most populous nation in the world. Are we putting up are we building the human capacity that will meet that particular population growth? And not to talk about by 2050, Nigeria is going to be like the third or fourth most populous nation in the world. These are things, we have serious issues that need to be discussed. We have to engage in our infrastructure, our healthcare. We have to develop in our human capacity. Our military is doing their own. The civil society needs to do their own. A lot of people need to do their own. We have to bring all these things on board so that we'll be able to say that, yes, we can meet the demands of the nation and allow the nation to grow at its rate.
Well, we've listened to an army chief say back in time that there is the security issues of security, and then there is the politics of security. If you don't mind speaking generally right now, my colleague mentioned some issues from other parts of the country as well in this conversation. These issues are ongoing, and the military, many believe, is quite far stretched in all of these issues. What is missing? You've also cited the issue of some social issues now as being responsible for these things. Who should be doing what so that the pressure on the military of having to intervene in such cases as the one we are discussing right now could reduce? What are the issues that are missing? Social issues, economic issues, whichever ones, in your opinion, that are missing? And how, if at all, should the military be venturing into such conversations when they happen so that the pressure can be released on the military and the police can do its primary function?
Yes, you are not only the police doing their own primary function. You see, we must get into such a stage whereby we'll be talking about strengthening the coordination of our security architecture, the general security architecture. And when we talk about this general security architecture, you are also looking at other relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of government. There is a lot of tools that have to come on board to ensure that we all plug into the same system. And this is very simple, because you are looking at whereby the society, the vibrancy of the society is required to meet up with the demands of the times. We are in a very precarious moment as at now. What we should be doing is to make sure that we engage every strata of the society to come on board on the same stride so that we can be able to forge a united, very virile and strong nation.
Well, so give us when you talk about that architecture, rejigging that architecture, quite a number of people think it's got to be across board, not just about military. It has to be policing to the extent that we have to strengthen the police such that areas where the military go, there are areas that with strengthening the police force, they can step in and bridge that gap and take the pressure off the army.
Yes, you are quite right. And these areas we have to, what is somehow missing with other security agencies for them to meet up with time. There are levels of training and retraining. There are some that since after being, we say recruited or after being employed, they've never gone on any level of training. Now, if we have to rejig our security architecture, in my own opinion, I think looking at the 6 administrative zones that we have got yet to be recognized, now we should be looking at having some kind of unified command, whereby at every level, do not forget, in some unfortunate Delta State, I can't remember who the lawyer is that went to court because road safety arrested him on a road. I say it's state road and you have no authority, and now the court has
Mr. Kunle,
yes, has granted him the right that yet they cannot arrest him on state road. So if we make certain things responsibilities, that this responsibility is for this agency and this is for this agency, and it is well known, and yet there has been a coordination of all these agencies to work as one entity, is going to help a lot in it. In other climes that you do know, you will see members of ministry of this in a proper military outfit. You see police representation, you see road safety representation, you see all this representation. There will be that coordination that you are doing your statutory functions and whatnot. But all this, you will now be able to see that, yes, every person can, that coordination is required for us to achieve results.
All right, we have to thank you for coming on. Major General Agundu is a former commander, Operation Safe Haven. Thank you for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
We've got some feedback. I don't know how much we can take, but let's have this one from, I think it's Bashorun Kende. He's talking about this same tragedy. He says, our military is our last line of defense. When criminals kill citizens, the police are drafted. When the police are killed, it's military that are drafted. When the military are killed, who do we call? Our people should start to defend our land and give support in terms of information of criminals to the authority in charge in order to prevent collective punishment.
Well, we have a number of other mails, but we're afraid we're totally out of time. John Ojikutu, Makondru, and I think there's one more person whose name I can't see here. We thank you for your feedback. We hope to be able to take them tomorrow because this discussion is certainly something that's on the front burner. Thank you for writing in and for being a part of the program. I'm Maokpe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Trey Belunosol.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Do have a wonderful and productive week.